Hey guys, Rob Hicks. So obviously with this week, the last week in dealing with the coronavirus, we've seen a ton of businesses and schools going to the online world. And it's actually kind of interesting timing because I've actually recently had a bunch of colleges that have reached out to us to do online learning and distance education as an enhancement to their existing classrooms. And it was weird seeing the post last week of all the empty classrooms. So I thought tonight what I would do is kind of share some of the stuff that I do on a daily basis, which is room design, but focus that design on what is an optimal setup for an online instructor if you're dedicating the instruction to exclusively be online. In other words, not try to make a hybrid where the online community can kind of share with the classroom. What would it look like if the online experience from the instructor's perspective was optimized to be able to deliver the best online courses and performances by the instructor? So with that being said, I'm going to kind of show you one of the designs that I've recently been working on. And before I do that, let me make sure that actually all the feeds are hot, since I'm going to be doing instruction and live streaming this by myself tonight. So bear with me. All right, we got Facebook feed or the YouTube feed, and let's see. Doesn't. Okay. Looks like the Facebook feed is going to have to catch up with us. So give me another couple 30 seconds or so. There we go. All right. So to kind of recap, what I wanted to do is kind of share with you some of the online designs that I've been doing for instructors in colleges to kind of optimize an online experience for viewers like you. So what you're seeing next to me is a 3D rendering for a local college, and they wanted us to upgrade their existing AV equipment in the room. So this is kind of what a normal or usual, I guess, online classroom or classroom in general looks like today. And you'll see, it's optimized for the students in the room. So one of the things that we proposed is to put a camera in the back as well as a couple cameras here in the front so that online viewers like yourself can participate and watch along. But there's a couple problems that I really don't like about this type of design, and that is that, let's click here and zoom it as if we were the camera. There we go. What I've been thinking about and trying to reimagine is what would be the best experience if the instructor didn't have any students at all in the class and instead had to focus on optimizing the experience for the online viewer. So that's kind of what we're going to be looking at today. And I don't really know. I mean, most of the designs that I put together are for classrooms, boardrooms, auditoriums, and lecture halls, but they're not really designed, or they really haven't been designed for, let's say, like a small studio space where the instructor is maybe by themselves and teaching to an online audience. What's the best way to engage and interact with the students or the online audience? What are the best tools that you need to have in terms of being able to share a presentation like I'm doing now? So these are kind of the things that I'm thinking about, and I figured, hey, why not just live stream this because it's obviously good instruction for myself, and hopefully it'll help me kind of better imagine some of the tools that I can put together for some of these colleges and universities. So if you have any input or feedback, put it into the chat, and if I can incorporate it into some of these designs, then I'll do so. Let me get the chat window working. There we go. All right, so what you're going to see here, and I'm going to kind of do a little bit of storytelling. So this is the actual space of the room. Did it switch? Oh, no, it didn't switch yet. Bear with me. There we go. All right, so this is the room that I'd done a site survey for before I'd done the 3D design. This is the old equipment that's in the room. So you got a pair of online cameras as well as video conferencing tools, and then front and back cameras at the front to be able to see the audience. So there's the instructor's desk. One thing that you also note on the instructor's desk is you see these monitors in the back or at the front of the room that are designed as confidence monitors, so that the instructor can not only see their PowerPoint presentation or notes, but they can also see the far end if they're communicating to an online audience. And you see they've got the wall-mounted displays, and then here there's a drop-down projector screen and a user interface. So, those are kind of the actual pictures. And let me switch back to the Sketchup view, which is here. There we go. And this tool is called Sketchup. I've been using it for many, many years. It's the perfect, easy to use tool for being able to render spaces, put toys in them, and kind of visualize before you install or put together an idea. So in this case, if we were the instructor, we could virtualize what it would be like for the instructor at the desk. So, like I said, what I'm trying to reimagine is in universities and classrooms now, all of these chairs and seats are empty. And so if you're this instructor in this classroom, your challenge now is that you're going to have empty chairs and a live camera. And that's going to be fantastically awkward for the instructor, I would imagine. But with all the tools that we've got online nowadays in terms of Zoom and WebEx, GoToMeeting, Microsoft Teams, there's so many online tools that are available, but I haven't seen an amazing amount of online instruction that looks visually interesting. Not that it has to be overproduced or anything, but by the same token, if you're sending your kid to school at, say, Stanford or Harvard, and you're paying 30, 50 grand a semester, and then all of a sudden the school says, oh, by the way, we're going to cancel schools for the rest of the semester, but you still owe your $30,000 or $50,000, and the instructor comes back to you and says, oh, well, we're going to just put everything on Zoom. My response is going to be, really? Like, I'm going to spend 30 grand, and then the instructor is going to teach my student over a standard video conferencing tool? I mean, to me, that kind of opens up so many can of worms that if using Zoom is easy, and it is fantastically easy. Zoom is by far the easiest video conferencing tool out there. But I think what's going to be interesting is that now that schools are beginning to do online courses because they have to, it's going to beg the question, well, what other educators out there can I find online? And you're going to find that there's going to be people that have been doing videos and online instruction, perhaps not at the university level, but they've been doing it and kind of honing their online craft for a long time. So what we're going to begin to see, I would imagine, would be instructors that are kind of fumbling with the video conferencing tools because they're not used to presenting online, compared to those instructors that started to do online courses many years ago, and what that experience is like. So that's kind of what I'm exploring tonight in the context of design, and like I said, what's the optimal space for an instructor. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with a fresh canvas on Sketchup. Hey, Kelly, how are you? Actually, Kelly, this is perfect because obviously you're a history teacher, and I was thinking about you and a few other instructors about how are you going to manage this. Like, fortunately, you, Kelly, are amazing already on Zoom. You're comfortable with it. You know how to broadcast, so you're infinitely ahead of most instructors. But that's got to be something that's weighing on your mind: is how can I optimize what I now my instruction, let's say, or my knowledge of teaching history, with how to leverage that online and create an amazing experience for students. So by no means am I suggesting that I know how to do it. I just know that I've got a few parts that I'm going to, in real time, try to, maybe over the course of time, begin to figure out. So Kelly says, they closed my school for 2 weeks, but we're told the administration to not teach online. I was looking forward to it. So that's interesting. In my county, they're spending the entire week this week teaching their teachers how to do online instruction, which is interesting. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see just the wide variety and kind of Wild West that we're going to have out with online education, not just at the K-12 level, but at the university level and even at the corporate level, where instructors and trainers of companies are going to have to quickly figure out how they're going to be able to train their folks exclusively online. And in many cases, those instructors are going to have to do it from their homes. So, yeah, like you said, Kelly, I mean, it's difficult, but I think it's absolutely solvable. I mean, you've proven it with your live programming. You've certainly proven it with Zoom. You've certainly proven it on the ability to do YouTube lives. But what I'm trying to imagine is what if classes never came back the way we know them? And I'm not trying to be apocalyptic, let's say. I'm just trying to say, well, if you're forced to do your education and instruction entirely online, what would it look like? What kind of tools would I need to build for you, Kelly, in order to be able to make an amazing online experience? So that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out. So using my favorite tool in terms of AV design, it's going to be SketchUp. And so as an example, Kelly, let's say that you came to me and said, Rob, the county said that I'm not going to be able to go back to class for the entire semester, and now I'm supposed to teach my history class for between now and June. What do I do? What kind of tools do I need, and what does that look like in my home office? So let's imagine it out. So let's say that you had a space that was, Kelly, if you want to give me the dimensions, I couldn't have done it all without you. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kelly. So let's say that you've got a room in your house that's, I don't know, 9 by 12. So I'm going to do 9 foot and by 12 foot. And let's say you've got 8-foot walls. And let's put in a little door. All right, so now we're gonna zoom this in a little bit and let's paint a few walls and maybe add some carpet. All right. All right, so for example's sake, let's just say that this is, oops, what did I do wrong here? There we go. All right, so let's just imagine that this is your 9-foot by 12-foot home office, and you're tasked now with having to figure out how you're going to do online instruction between now and the rest of the year. So let's go ahead and pop in a desk. That looks great. I don't think this desk is going to work in this room. Yeah, let's go with the different desk. All good, Kelly. All right. So here's kind of what we might imagine the room would start off as. Maybe not with triple monitors. So let's delete this. But I do recommend dual displays wherever you can in a desktop environment. So some of the things that I've imagined if I was going to be doing this from a home office might be to put a television on this wall and then a camera either directly below or directly above. So let's take a look and see what that would look like. Maybe a 42-inch TV. I don't know if I have any TVs that are that small. It's 46. Kelly, I anticipated that you were going to tell me a whiteboard or a smartboard. Hang with me on this part, and then I'll draw the back wall. Because I think a whiteboard is essential. Maybe not so much a smartboard. I've had mixed reviews in selling those to instructors and teachers over the last 10 years. They market well and they sound great when I'm pitching them to teachers, but inevitably they're just a pain in the ass to for people to use. They break. So if you're seasoned and you're comfortable using a smartboard or have used a smartboard for many years, yeah, I think that would be good. But at the end of the day, nothing beats an old-fashioned, plain old whiteboard, in my opinion. So let's say this is the room. So we're going to take this desk and scoot it forward. One thing I was also thinking about as a desk is that it actually may be optimal, let's say, to get like a VariDesk or a variable desk. I can't remember. VariDesk? The kind where the desk is motorized and it'll go up and down. Because I would imagine if I was going to teach, I probably would want to be standing rather than sitting in a chair like I am now. So being able to have a variable desk might be beneficial to be so that you can do it from a seating position, but also be able to stand and go over to the whiteboard. So for the whiteboard, let's see. All right, Kelly, so here's your whiteboard. Let me pull it a little bit off the wall so there's contrast. All right, so what we've got now is the desk set up with the whiteboard directly behind the instructor, and then we've got a large format display on the opposite wall. So this is where I think would be the best place to put the camera. So let me go and do a now, in terms of camera height, I recommend putting the camera just at eye level or maybe slightly above or slightly below, but you don't want to make it where the camera is above the TV. I'm going to temporarily knock out this wall just so we can get better perspective. That's the best way. So if we are standing here, put the TV up a little higher, and there we go. So now what we've done is we've put a pan-tilt zoom camera, which gives you the ability as an instructor to be able to pan tilt or zoom in to be able to make the shot a little bit closer or farther away. And oops, there we go. The whiteboard is blocking it. Let me move this off to the side for a second. There we go. All right. So this is the way I imagine the bones of a home studio might look for an instructor, where you've got the whiteboard behind you to be able to do simple note-taking and things like that. But then you would also have a monitor here to be able to see the far end. So if we were on a video call, I would be using this monitor to look up at my, I hate to use the term virtual audience because they're actually really real people. They're just not in the same classroom as you are. So there we go. And let's put a person in here as a bookmark. So let's do so you should be able to, let's get a top view so you can kind of see how I've assembled most of the materials or people. So if the instructor's here, what that means is that from the far end or the online viewer's perspective, they're going to be seeing her through the lens of the camera. So if we go in there and zoom in, this is how I would be seeing the instructor. So we probably want to get rid of one of these monitors. There we go. And so in this space here, if she was online, she would have a fairly sizable whiteboard. But I think the desk itself needs to be physically higher. Right there would be fantastic. And I think that monitor needs to be a little bit off center. So let's take the desk and there we go. All right, so let's check this view out again. There we go. A couple other things I'm going to add to it are going to be acoustic panels in the room. Hey Matt, long time no see. Acoustic panels. So, if you're catching up, Matt, what Kelly and I have been kind of working on is what would an optimal teaching studio be like for a teacher? In other words, if you weren't able to go back to, let's say, your classroom, and you were forced to teach whatever the instruction is exclusively to an online audience, what would be the best setup as an instructor to be able to deliver a high quality instruction to your students? So I'm not saying I have the answer. I'm just kind of playing it out, and I use Sketchup quite a bit during the day for my commercial designs. So I'm now just kind of focusing on what would it look like in a perfect home studio. So let's add some acoustic panels. There we go. These are some big ass acoustic panels. Oh, come on. There we go. So this is looking pretty good. I may have something to do this weekend for myself in terms of building this. I'm not sold on the microphone stand. I think the best way an instructor would want to do this would probably be with a wireless headset mic, something like something like this, where you would clip it on. I think that would probably be best. The only gotcha would obviously be the batteries and recharging, but that's obviously going to give hands down the best audio experience. But the other thing is, because Kelly had mentioned about wanting to have a whiteboard, which I think is ideal. The one gotcha you would have, let me put this whiteboard back in. If you've got a desk mic and you're presenting, sorry if the constant movement is making you dizzy. Bear with me. There we go. Okay. So if we've got the whiteboard behind the instructor, and then the instructor turns their head to write on the whiteboard, you're not going to hear them anymore. That would be the benefit of a headset mic, is that you're going to be able to turn your head in all motion, in all movement. Add bookcases. So I think bookcases would be good for visual interest. So that way, here, all right, so we've kind of seen what it would look like as the instructor, but let's see what it looks like if you're a student. So we'll go down to the camera and we'll spin around. This is the view that your online student would be seeing. And to me, I think this is perfect. Being able to see a little bit of the desk, maybe a little corner of the monitor, and then to your point, Kelly, if bookcases here, I think would kind of visually communicate that you're an instructor of some sort. So let's add some bookcases. Of course, nowadays you can cheat and you can just get a vinyl print of a bookcase and then paste it on the wall. Turning pages makes me feel like I'm learning. Yep. All right, so there we go. Come on. There you go, Kelly. All right, so now let's take a look and see what it looks like from the student's perspective. There you go. I definitely do not like the table mic. I think it's not needed. I'm not gonna put a headset on her, but we'll yeah, let's just say that no, not a vinyl print. Yes, I agree. Now, from an online experience standpoint, as you know, Kelly, you want to be able to, if you're doing a presentation, let's say, you want to be able to see the presentation yourself, but you equally would want to be able to interact and engage with your audience. So there may be value in adding a second monitor and I'm thinking, oh, come on. This program, Kelly, is called Sketchup. It was owned by Google for a period, and it's so ridiculously easy to use. I mean, I've been using, like I said, it's called Sketchup, but I've been using it for years to do renderings because it's so easy. All right, so here's one thing that I'm imagining, Kelly. Let me tell. I'm assuming somebody would make a double stack monitor array, and I'm sure you could find this. So imagine this, Kelly, that if you're the instructor standing right here, the idea would be that you could see your PowerPoint maybe on the lower one, but then have the chat box and notes on the top monitor here. So that way it's kind of fluid, so that you can be looking at your audience, but then also have that monitor close enough where you're not squinting to read the comments from the TV that's across the wall. So let me back this out again. Move the whiteboard temporarily. So what do you think, Kelly? So I think the question to imagine, Kelly, let me make this full screen so you can see it bigger. The thing to imagine, Kelly, is would you be able to adapt as a teacher, as an instructor, if this was your new online classroom, where this is when you go to teach history, you're seeing your audience or your students on this TV here. You maybe have your PowerPoint notes or lesson or course material on this monitor, and then up here you've got your chat window so that you can read the comments. But does this give you all the tools that you would want, to include the whiteboard that's behind you, to be able to deliver a near in-person experience? I like that I can see the students. Well, that would be kind of, you would almost have to be able to see the students. I mean, I haven't taken a lot of online classes myself, but in the few that I have, I've certainly been I've taken enough of them to know what I don't like. And the one thing I don't like, maybe not so much on online classes as much as it is webinars, but the one thing that I can't stand is when presenters will come up and they'll do a webinar, and they'll basically be a voiceover on a PowerPoint. And so effectively all you're doing is you're seeing their PowerPoint, and then they're just reading their PowerPoint. So it's not interactive and engaging. But I would hope that something like this, where almost in the way that I've kind of composited the image here, you can see my face, you can see that I'm making eye contact with you, but I also have the presentation next to me for whatever it is that I'm talking about. With my old eyes, they would have to be closer, though. Well, so I think it depends on how many people you have, right? I mean, in this case here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this case here, we've got 25 students in these thumbnails, and we're looking at it on a 46-inch television. So if you're at the same eye distance as this instructor, this is effectively how large your students would appear on a 46-inch TV, with the TV approximately 8 feet away from you. Now, earlier we talked about a variable desk, and what I'm measuring now is how tall this desk is. So this desk is currently at 3 feet, 36 inches, and a standard desk, I think, is at 32 inches. So this is about 10 inches taller than a standard desk. Now, one thing that I'd like to show you that I think is fascinating is the subtle changes that you get just by changing the color of the wall. So as an example here, let's zoom in as if we were looking at the instructor. And where did I put it? Uh-oh. Hold on. Put our whiteboard back. There we go. So watch this. So let's just say we've got a light beige wall versus a gray versus a pink. From my experience, the best color, the safest color that you can put on a back wall is blue. Maybe not quite this blue. Tone it down a little bit. Is about this shade of blue right here. Yeah, definitely not the pink. So what I was told many years ago, and I've repeated this story many, many times, but supposedly the psychology behind sky blue is that in our lizard brain or hunting brain, our eyes are tuned to discount or not pay attention to the color of the sky. So we're looking for things other than the sky. So if you paint your walls blue, it then focuses the viewer on everything that's not blue. So in this case, it would be focusing it on the instructor as well as the whiteboard. Classrooms of the future. So I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm trying to imagine, is what does the classroom of the future look like? Particularly, like I said, with this coronavirus kind of forcing us to imagine these things. We shouldn't have to think too much about it. I mean, the concept of video and instruction in general, at least via video, has been around for almost 100 years. It's just the subtlety of how do you do this in a DIY environment, where if you're an instructor and you're doing this from home, how do you teach your class and be able to manage the tech? So much as you just make it part of your process, where you're not having to babysit it or think about the tech all the time. It becomes something that you come into your home studio, you turn on all your lights, turn on your microphone, connect your Zoom or WebEx call, and boom, you're online with your students. I think for sure, as you know, I don't know if, Kelly, have you used Zoom for instruction before, or have you just used it for broadcasts? I think the one big thing I like about this shot from a composition standpoint is that it's wide open. So most instructors or people that do webinars online are using obviously a webcam. So they're only showing their bust from, say, like from the chest to the camera. So it's very, very compressed. The person is very compressed on the screen, whereas this, not in the classroom. So in this shot, I like it because it feels open and airy. And from an instructor standpoint, in this case, she's got 3 to 5 feet of space in which to move around on. I don't know if you got any thoughts on that, Kelly, but I would imagine that would be something I would want, particularly since when I stand up and do presentations, I like to move around a little bit. And by being able to have the camera far enough away, this is going to give you the ability to do that. Plus, obviously, it's going to give you the space to be able to do all your whiteboard annotations and things like that. It would be great to try with my students. But you said that your county's not letting you do online instruction. Hopefully that'll change. And in fact, Kelly, I'd love to collaborate with you on you being an instructor. I'd love to collaborate with you on figuring this out. It was like perfect that you hopped in tonight to this chat, because I totally did this spontaneously with not a lot of thought. So I like the moving. You like the moving room. Do you mean the desk, or just being able to slide around? Schools do need to have a plan. The one thing that kind of shocked me, Kelly, was that schools don't have a plan. There were a number of articles that I saw on LinkedIn where even at Harvard last week they made two what I would consider terrible decisions. Number one is that they kicked all of their students off campus by yesterday, and then they instantly said that starting today, that all of the instruction was going to be done online, and that the instructors were going to use this week to learn and figure out how they were going to do online instruction, so that starting a week from today, the Harvard students will then be taking their courses online. Well, right, proactive versus reactive. But I think what I'm seeing, Kelly, is that certainly this coronavirus has caught tons of organizations and universities and educational places flat-footed. And so now they're scrambling to band-aid it and figure out, oh, well, what can we do temporarily? But, what I'm starting to ask the questions on is, okay, well, what's just a long-term solution? And kind of think these things out now, so that I can put together solutions and testing and put it in place, so that, if organizations come to me and they're like, well, we've got 20 or 30 instructors and we want to be able to outfit them either at the university itself, or perhaps in like a home configuration where these can be kitted and delivered. User manuals and instructions can be created, and support and all that kind of stuff around it. So I'm just, to the best I can, trying to get in front of the solution, so that it can be fully baked and then implemented, hopefully in a lot of places. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna wrap this up in the next few minutes or so. But I guess some of the lessons learned that I've got tonight, with what you've said, Kelly, are, I do like the variable desk idea. I think that's definitely something that's got to be baked into the design, is being able to raise from a seating position all the way up to a full standing position. I think the best way I've seen so far to have your monitors, to have the monitors on your desk, is actually in a double stack configuration off to the side. That way you've got an entire side of your desk that you can use just for open discussion and comment and animation. I think it's important to have a reasonably large display. Come on. That whiteboard keeps blocking my view. What? Bear with me. Oh, there we go. I think from a microphone standpoint, like we talked about, handheld microphone or an over-the-ear microphone that you wear is probably best, particularly if you are going to do the whiteboard, because that way as you turn and move with the microphone, your voice will always stay constant. Yeah, I think I'm going to try to put this physically together over the next week or so and test it out. So anyway, well, I'm going to wrap it up here. Like I said, this was impromptu, but Kelly, thank you so much for giving me some feedback, and I'd love to chat with you. And maybe together we can, yes, no chords. Yeah, maybe together we can put together some pretty cool ideas, particularly since you're a school teacher. So with that said, good night, God bless, and I'll see you guys on the next live stream. Thanks.